I think with reform, though, it's kind of, it could be an issue for them in 4 years' time that they now actually have such a mass appeal in local politics that there's now something for the establishment parties to point at when they're saying, well, they say X, Y, and Z, but they're not implementing anything that they could possibly do in X, Y, or Z council. Like you could very well see in the future there being a case of reform councillors in a council that they have overall control of whinging about the potholes outside the council building that they have direct responsibility for, you know. So it will be interesting now in the next couple of months and next couple of years to see what the establishment parties can do to kind of counter the rise of reform in that way.
But then it's also they're playing by different rules. Like if the
until now they've been playing by different rules.
But I don't think I don't think they're suddenly going to start playing by the rules. I think like if a reform controlled council now fails to fill in the potholes, it's not their fault. It's the blob's fault.
Yeah.
It's the woke civil servants who are like who are just being like saboteurs against reform's quest to make your high street great again.
Yeah, I think it's interesting as well because I think that that's like the negative side that they'll face. But I think the positive is that these councils will act as like a training ground so that in 5 years' time they know who their rising stars are within the party and then can field them as MPs.
It's like a kung fu movie montage. 700 reform councillors.
But I think that's the thing is like all their or not all of them, but a large part of their councillors have no experience in local government or any form of government, and that's a challenge they face now. But then by the time they go to field MPs, they will have had 4 years under their belt. And also Zia Youssef, who's the chairman of the party, has started a Centre for Excellence, which is like a training programme that he's going to give out to councillors.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that will entail. Also, that's also interesting because Youssef hasn't had any experience in governing as well. So I'd actually be interested to see what do you think being a good councillor is. I also think for their MPs further down the line, they will have a very long list of people who they should not let be MPs.
Should we be concerned in any way of how big a win reform had in the locals?
I think what was really interesting about where reform were winning is that in both seats that Labour were defending and seats that the Conservatives were defending, reform on average got the same vote share, which was 32%. So it actually didn't matter if it was a Labour or a Conservative seat. The same amount were voting for reform.
I suppose there's two sides to it, isn't it? Because like if you project those numbers onto a general election, and you like statistically, you should not do that. Like this is not a representative sample of the country, and it excludes like Scotland as well. But that isn't anywhere close to a majority. It must be. It's a larger vote share than they got at the general election for sure. And so within a year, that's like a pretty incredible achievement. And the way they have professionalised the party, but because we just use the batshit system of first past the post, that could be any number of seats. And I think trying to predict anything about their national performance from this, I think is maybe a mistake because it's not really that applicable. And I suppose it's certainly not good for the news for the Labour Party, like getting a kicking this early into they're not even a year in office and they're getting an absolute shoeing. It's also interesting, sort of, there's been more rancour amongst Labour MPs about Starmer's performance. I wonder if we're seeing the beginning of the end for Starmer, and what a short beginning it would have been as well. What do you think, Laura?
We saw Louise Haigh, I think in the Times, saying basically that she was quite disappointed with how things like the winter fuel payment have been played out, and she was basically calling for more radical action and saying that, she was the former transport minister, saying that the Labour government should break their fiscal rules and increase spending.
That they invented in the first place.
The fiscal rules that are not real and they can break at any opportunity. It already did.
Made them up in the first place.
Was that with defence spending? Was that, or they changed them? to allow for more greater defence spending.
I think you might be right there, yeah.
Yeah. So just make new fucking rules, or just don't have this. Don't constrain yourself to this insane. I don't know.
You see, that's like a slight tangent, but like breaking your fiscal rules to spend more on defense, to send weapons to Ukraine, should be enough to prove, well, actually, we can make change in the areas that, as Louise Haig is saying, that directly affect the people that are turning away from the Labour Party. If something like the local election results is not a warning to the Labour Party, and I'm not saying that this is going to be, this is a forecast of Reform winning the next election, far from it, but the fact that the general public have voted in the numbers that they have for the Reform Party should be enough to say, we need to do something radical and we need to do it now. We can't just keep saying we need to make people poorer faster. We need to find other ways of doing it.
Yep.
Like that's not the answer. The answer is to be the Labour Party, to be the party for the people that are turning away from or turning towards reform. I mean, you see it like whether it's America, the kind of, the phenomenon of, certainly in 2016, maybe less so in 2024, but the kind of the Bernie bro turned Trump voter.
Yeah.
That like ideology does not matter when you have, like you can't eat a flag, you can't eat ideology. You can't expect people to just consistently vote for the Labour Party because they're the Labour Party.
Yep.
If you're not changing people's material conditions, they're going to turn away from you.
And especially if Polanski revitalises the Green Party, Labour would like to say, well, if you don't vote for reform, we'll get in. And if you have a Green Party making like a positive case for left-wing policies, then that's a much more attractive vote rather than like a negative vote, isn't it? So they're facing danger on all sides. So we're in a 5-party country now.
Do you think that there is a future for the Conservatives?
Oh, we've not talked about them at all, have we? Oh my God.
It was basically a straight swap between Conservative seats in councils and Reform.
I wonder if we'll see defections to Reform from the Conservatives.
To Reform?
Yeah, people like Suella Braverman.
I wonder if what is in that for Reform apart from getting another MP?
Well, I mean, Andrea Jenkins is their mayor of Greater Lincolnshire now.
Yeah. Sarah Pochen was also a Conservative councillor before.
But I think someone like Braverman was one of the main faces of an incredibly unpopular government. I don't think the Conservative brand is toxic at this point, and I think would maybe denigrate Reform in a way. Like Reform's thing is like we're new. Like if you think actually kind of maybe
even
apart
though
from
they aren't.
But I think about like the guy who won the boxer who won the mayoral election. I can't remember who that was, but I think it was certainly in the north. Like he's new. We're like, we are the new thing. And if you're something like, and here's Suella Braverman, you're like, that doesn't really lend credence to their argument. Like if you have people, if you suddenly have an army of professional MPs, then you can no longer say we're here to fuck Westminster up.